Romo and Loyola. He's won many state awards for his sports coverage in his nearly 4-decade career. He created and hosts Friday Night Football, now in its 25th year, WNOL NOLA 38 and WGNO ABC 26 each Friday night at 11 p.m. He's a columnist for SportsNola.com and the Clarion Herald, and he also hosts the Three Tailgaters show with Rick Gailey, somebody else, and himself on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. and WGSO 990 a.m. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Mr. Ed Daniels. Ed?
Thank you, Kenneth. Always good to be here with you. Appreciate the invite from Kenny. You know, I was reading a little Mark Twain a couple of days ago, and it kind of reminded me of our paths together at Rummel and Loyola. And Kenny kind of took a different path. You know, Mark Twain always said, I never let my schooling stand in the way of my education. And Kenny kind of took that path at Rummel and Loyola. So it's good to know that he did well and he's here and doing great. I'd like to congratulate Coach Atkins. Great job by Tulane. 66 points on Saturday against Southern. Last year, they got into their 4th game of the season before they scored their 66 point. So, tremendous accomplishment there. Chris, good to see you. Many memories to be made in LSU football. After the first couple of weeks, I was wondering if any of them were going to be good. But I go back to many of the calls over the years. Jim Hawthorne's call of Warren Morris's home run. One that kind of sticks out to me is John Ferguson's call of the last drive in the LSU Ole Miss game in 1972, when Burt Jones threw a couple of passes into the end zone. And he said, the Tigers are knocking on the door, but still no marbles, which I thought was a great line. I remember it all these years later. Coach Manali, good to see you. And I know Coach was talking about the split. I am for a complete split. This has been going on since January of 2013. And as far as I'm concerned, it was over a long time ago. And I know a lot of people hold out hope for some kind of reconciliation. On August 31st, I went to John Curtis's appeal in Baton Rouge. I prefer to call it their trial. And they were convicted. And then we had some news last night from the reporter at the Lafayette Daily Advertiser that the lead investigator in the case said he could prove no evidence of wrongdoing. So I saw some ugly things that day, and they had nothing to do about kids or football. So that's just the way it is. That's one of the reasons why how I feel about the situation was confirmed, not only yesterday, but on the 31st of August. Coach Chango, offensive guru, when he was at Jesuit, he'd always remind me I was a Rummel guy and I wasn't welcomed into the office. But now that I'm at Country Day, he actually tells me hello and is nice to me, and I truly appreciate it, Coach. Although, Coach, I got to tell you, please do something about those hideous uniforms you wore last week. Okay?
That's all I like.
Coach, I know you like to challenge your players, but please don't challenge the elderly members of the media who have a hard time seeing powder blue numbers on light gray uniforms. I was like, who scored that touchdown? And I had to ask the trainer, Catherine Miller, that several times on Friday. So, Coach, if you could go back to the white numbers, I sure would appreciate it. I don't know if you've seen it the last couple of weeks, but Rick Gailey has been on Friday Night Football with me because JT, number one, had the lightning delay for the Landry Walker game, and then the last week he was in Shreveport, and our female numbers for Friday Night Football shot through the roof. So, Gailey, you still have it. I'm very proud of you. Good to see my friend Kevin Keitel doing well. I know he's visited the doctor lately. The doctor discovered that he had one purple eyeball and one gold. I could have told the doctor that 50 years ago. And as far as our friends on Poydras Street, when I walk around the office, I ask people who that say they're going to beat them Saints, and their reply to me is everybody. So hopefully that changes soon. You can't get off the field in the fourth quarter, and I know I'm supposed to talk about the Saints today. 22 points in the fourth quarter. Now, one of the things I want to say about some of those things is this. I thought the Saints got jobbed on several calls. Third and about 4, They called P.J. Williams for holding. I thought that was a terrible call. The call to Craig on pass interference on Craig Robertson, I thought was shaky. 4th down and 5, okay? There's no flag there, the Saints win the game. But the one that really I thought was outrageous was the 75-yard touchdown run. People ask me, how can a guy run up the middle like that for 75 yards? And I said, well, it's pretty easy. When one of the inside linebackers, James Laurinaitis, is being held, almost tied up by the offensive lineman, and the other inside linebacker, Craig Robertson, is being tackled. And if you go back and look at the footage, that's exactly what happened. You know, it amazes me, so many callers on our radio show on Saturday call and complain about Drew Brees. And I would say to them, maybe you ought to get Sunday ticket and watch some of the other quarterbacks play in the NFL. Maybe your appreciation of Drew Brees ought to grow. 423 yards passing on a Sunday. He tied Peyton Manning for the most 400-yard passing games in the history of the NFL with 14 and 4 touchdowns, and the Saints didn't win. Now, they have some great opportunities, I think, the next 3 weeks at Giants, Falcons on Monday night, and then Brees goes back to San Diego, because after that, it's Panthers at Kansas City, Seattle at 49ers, and Broncos. So it's time to make hay when the sun shines. One other note, it was great to see John Gilly on Sunday at the game. One of my greatest football memories ever is September 16, 1967. I was in Section P of the South End Zone with my dad, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It still gives me goosebumps to talk about it today. It was a unbelievable memory, and it's coming up on 49 years, and I'll never forget it. It was fantastic. One other thing about that 67 season, you could get a youth ticket for $15 for a season ticket. Remember that? Any of you guys remember that? Youth ticket for $15. Well, one of my girls, Stephanie, who came up to see me in the press box on Sunday, hit me up for money and reminded me that a Bloody Mary at the Superdome now costs $15. So I can see, and I'm sure you can, the effects of inflation over the years. So it's always good to be here with you, and thanks to Kenny for the invite, and congratulate all the coaches up here, and Chris, congratulations on your new appointment and many great seasons at LSU in all sports, and we look forward to a big game on Saturday night against Mississippi State, and of course Tulane against Navy, which is a pivotal game early in the season for both teams. Navy is 2-0, but I know this, they don't have Keenan Reynolds anymore, and he was probably the greatest quarterback in the history of the school other than maybe Roger Staubach. So he's moved on, and that's good news for Tulane on Saturday. If I could take any of your questions, I'd be more than happy to. Is that it? Well, I guess I've answered them all. Well, yes, sir, Mr. Stan.
Yes, sir. I want to just say a condition. What do you think? What is it gonna? Somebody's gonna pull a journal?
Here's what I think. The only thing that can possibly fix it is state intervention. That's what I think is the only thing that can possibly fix it.
What about the split? When will the Catholic schools say we're going?
I don't know. I've been wondering. When the question was, when will the Catholic schools say when we're going? I don't know. I have no idea. I've been asking that question for 3.5 years. Look, I'm only stating the obvious. The obvious is the obvious. You know, I kept hearing they were going to get back together in football. That never happened. Now it's in all the other sports. You got 17 playoff brackets. You know, Ryan was talking about the Letcher De La Salle game in Week 10. You know, one of the things we do is we run the All-State Sugar Bowl National Prep Classic basketball tournament in January. And that's public and private together. That'll be an unofficial state championship right there in January, because we don't know who's the best team in the state is. And Coach McGuire has agreed to wear a wireless mic in the tournament for us. And we really appreciate that. So between some of the things he said, and I really like when Mike gets really angry. His face turns so red. It turns like it's red, and then it's redder, and then it's bright red. So we're looking forward to having Coach in the tournament. He's always a ball of laughs. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to depart, head over to Coach Fritz's press conference, but it's always a pleasure to be here with you, and I'll see you at the end of the year when we hand out our yearly awards to all the high school players who are working so hard. There's a lot of great players in our area, and I can tell you, on Fridays, our entire staff gets geeked up about covering high school football because it is important to us. And for all of you in this room who are involved in that process in any way, shape, or form, I say thank you.